2,510 pounds. This is the Rockwood A212 high wall A-frame here at Haylett RV of Coldwater, Michigan. This is a member of the Big Daddy of A-frames. Right there, you just met Mr. Norm. We're actually in his bay right now. He's one of our quality control specialists, making sure everything fires up and works properly. This camper here is effectively the big brother on steroids version of the Rockwood A122S. And the general theme here is that everything is about 6 inches bigger. Now, if you've seen these in the past, very little has physically changed in terms of equipment or function, but the interior decor has seen a full-scale facelift as compared to even earlier this year at the time of this filming. They've really kind of updated, modernized, and refreshed the look of this, and it's got a far more advanced look and feel and appeal than I think it's had in years past. But not everyone has been watching these things for the last couple years, so I want to make sure that I cover a couple of the basics too. Like, we've got a full window that does open for ventilation here in the entry door, but you will see how it does have a little shade that drops down, and that's what's kind of cool about a pop-up camper compared to travel trailer or fifth wheel. If what you're looking for is campsite visibility, it comes in 360 degrees on a pop-up type camper in one form or another, whether it's a tent camper or an A-frame or this, that, and the other thing. But, of course, every one of these can close down for privacy. Now, the recurring trend here is that this is the big brother to the A122S Rockwood A-frame that you could find here at Haylett RV. But everything's about 6 inches bigger. The front dinette here is about 6 inches bigger. This folds down into a 50 by 80 bed, so not quite a queen width, but it is a queen length when it's all folded down. Now you can see the door on the bottom here that does open for storage. The table is completely free floating. There we go. So if you want to take that outside for picnic time, you can. There is no storage below this bench over here, because if you look down, you see a couple of your mechanical items had to get stowed away under here. There's things like you've got your multi-detector, like your CO detector. There is a power outlet down there, your converter box, which is like your fuse panel. There's also your propane furnace there. And we'll get more into the heating and cooling of this in a minute. But suffice to say, this RV actually has two different methods of heating and cooling. Now, while I'm pointing down here, I do want to point out the fact that we are carpetless and there are no floor heat registers here. This does not have central heating because it sure doesn't need it, as small as it is. The table will fold down into a sleeper. If I remember, I'll try to do that before we wrap up here so you can take a look at it. But I want to point out these front skylights right here. It's sort of like, it's almost like a bubble window on a submarine. They're deceptively deep. And the A122S little brother with a 6-inch shorter wall, it still has a 4-adult front seat. But this one is even more comfortable for adults, because a big guy like me, I can sit with my arm all the way against that wall with another full-size adult sitting next to me, and I can still be comfortable because my head doesn't have to be in the bubble. In the A122S, I could sit there, we could still play cards, but my head would have to be in the bubble. Now we've got LED lighting in here, and not a whole lot of it, and that's completely by design. It's light enough in here. If you want to go dry camping, boondocking, whatever you call it, you don't want to have a ton of lights eating your battery, and they purposely built this to make sure you couldn't accidentally shoot yourself in the foot in that regard. That's also one of the reasons why they have the 12-volt max air vent fan up here. If you are boondocking and you don't have access to 110 shore power for the air conditioner, this is going to be your primary cooling method. You're going to open some windows, you're going to fire that thing up, and frankly, it'll do a heck of a job in here. Now, your side windows are very large. You're getting a good look at our team over here going to town cleaning up a White Hawk for a new owner, I assume. Now, this is another area where the A122S and the A212 do vary, and that is just the way that their kitchen's laid out. The A122S has a stovetop recessed right here and a smaller fridge. Because this one is taller, they were able to give it more space for more things. Like now we have a double sink instead of a single sink with split covers, so you can pop those covers off individually. We have a larger gas electric refrigerator down here, and it does have a freezer pocket, so there's yet another upgrade. And the A122S does have a microwave, but it's located on the stand to my left here that we'll see in just a moment. Instead, by rearranging this, they were able to include a couple drawers below it, as well as an additional cabinet. As long as we're talking kitchen stuff, I figure I might as well finish up. here's one of the major differences between the A122 and the A212 that we are standing in, and that is that it has a full oven with recessed stovetop and storage below. This right here is very different from the two campers. Now around the side we still have our Bluetooth stereo system, and it does have an HDMI input with a USB charging plug, so if you do have high def things you want to plug into it, you can. And your TV hookups are down there. I guess the best way I can describe it is this region you could either use for cooking or maybe for setting a TV on there, and if you're cooking you probably need to set the TV on the bed. But most people in a little camper like this aren't really cooking up a storm. One of the other significant differences between this and the A122S is that trend of being 6 inches bigger. That's here on the bed. This has a full 60 by 80 residential queen as compared to a 54 by 80 camp queen, as is found in the non-high wall A-frame. Now let's take a second to examine this guy down here, the thing that says Dometic on it. This is called a Cool Cat, but what it is a bi-directional heat pump, and if you don't know what that means, it's a device that can either be an electric heater or your air conditioner. It does both things. You need to have it be slightly above freezing and slightly below scorching. Like, it works somewhere between, well, I don't remember the numbers offhand, guys. The manufacturer's spec sheet can verify for us, but it's like, it needs to be like 34, between like 34 to 104 degrees or something like that for it to really work well. But the fact is, it really does work well. Now, I can't guarantee this will work for you every time, but I know that I've personally been in one of these A-frames here at Haylet RV in sub 32 degree temperatures and flicked on the electric heating element. And it took a little while, but it did eventually finally start heating up. And it really impressed me. It actually worked when the manufacturer said it wasn't supposed to. And I thought that was pretty darn cool. Now, a couple more little bonus features here for you before we hop outside. And the first of which is that this bed easily lifts up. Now, there's not storage under this section because that's where all the ducting for the electric heater air conditioners run. But under the bed, there is still a big chunk of storage. You can get to a portion of it here, and instead of having to like climb down and crawl inside of it, there is another door that allows you to access this exact same compartment from outside of the RV as well. Out here, the slightly bigger versus the A122S trend, it's not as obvious until you look at this front storage trunk here. The A122S has, you open the trunk from the top and then it has a couple side access doors. And at first glance, this is kind of the same way, but what they've done here is they've actually come up with a two-tier storage method. It's actually got, effectively, it's like a storage trunk on top with, I don't know if you call it maybe like a fishing pole slot on the right here, something like that. You have these handy little bars to hold that ABS top up. Now when those flip down, you see they've actually got pressure locks right here, and one of those does have a little slot for a padlock, so if you want to lock that down, you can. But below all that, you have this handy slide out storage, I don't know, trough, if you will. You don't have to use it. You could remove it and just leave it in the garage or something like that, but the fact is it's here if you need it, and it's gone if you don't. Now, the A122S, or pardon me, the A212HW that we're looking at here, similar models, the numbers are getting jumbled in my head. It has a rack mount system here for a couple different accessories. If you want to add bike rack mounts, you can. If you want to add some kayak mounts, you can. It comes with several, or pardon me, it doesn't come with, but there are several different things that you can attach to that to come up with, different sort of travel arrangements. So it kind of is one of those things where it's very neat and very flexible and functional for very different people. Maybe you're a biking enthusiast or you like to go kayaking or whatever. Whatever you like, you can make it do that thing. Now, as I kind of mentioned when we were inside the RV, I sort of call these like a mutant, where they're somewhere between a full travel trailer and a pop-up camper. It obviously is, in point of technicality, a folding camper. You know, the top and the walls kind of flap up and down and all that. But a pop-up doesn't usually get a double propane tank system with an automatic changeover regulator. There's extra little things too, like the manual jack that's on these standard has this little wheel right here so you can shift it around. But we will typically outfit these with the power tongue jack, which I believe Mr. Norm just simply hasn't attached to it quite yet, to take the elbow work out of it, as it were, to do all the heavy lifting for you. Now, whether it's marker lights or taillights, these are all LED lights, and that's what I call Rockwood doing Rockwood things. They're just all about doing a little bit more, a little bit fancier, flashier type fixture here. So not only are these going to be a little bit brighter and safer, they're going to last much, much longer. As we're rolling through here, 30 amp service, by the way, we're getting her all plugged in and checked out, checking out the furnace. We've got a full outside utility shower, which is kind of cool, because obviously we don't have any sort of shower inside. So, depending on how you're camping, maybe you are going to take some kind of outside cowboy shower. Hopefully you're camping in the woods and not next to me in a campground, because I don't know if I want to see that. But the fact of the matter is, it's also here if you do want to clean off a bike, clean up your toys or something like that. You can do some of that there too. Now that pipe right there, that's the drain pipe from the sink, because remember, this does not have an onboard gray tank. It's one of those oddball little qualities of these A-frame campers. Now the traveling wheel has been removed, and the actual wheel that belongs on this camper looks like Mr. Norm has applied here. That's the little bit bigger tire as compared to the little shipping wheel that comes on these high walls. You also have outside cable TV hookup right here. Well, of course it's outside because we're outdoors right now. You get the point. But the fact is, this is even part cable ready. Now this right here, this is your power roof lifter mechanism, arm and motor and all that. And it's amazing. Like, you don't even realize it, but that's the motor for this whole thing. And it seems crazy, but they work. If you actually saw the size of a motor pushing like a big 1,500-pound super slide and a giant Pinnacle fifth wheel, you'd be amazed at the size of that in comparison to the work that it's pulling too. Gearing and technology, man, we are living in the future. What are they going to think of next, guys? Phones that fit in your pocket? What do you think? So below the bed over here, in an oddball little location, instead of you having to kind of go armpit deep to get to the storage, they make the storage come to you. Once again, if you don't like those things, take it out of there. I don't care. Once you, well, buy it first, then take it out of there. Because, you know, if you haven't bought it, then I do care. If you have bought it, I don't care what you do with it. It's up to you. I just hope you take care of it, though. So, nice fine little details, like instead of just a little fabric slip cover over the spare tire, you see how they're still putting an ABS shell on that? That's just, it just, again, one of those Rockwood doing Rockwood things. They don't have to do that. You probably wouldn't have even consciously thought about it, but it is nicer, and it is more rugged. It is going to last longer. This is only 7 foot wide, so it's not wider than your vehicle, but please, please, guys, regardless of that, still get towing extension mirrors if you don't have a vehicle that already has a tow mirror package. Don't skimp on safety items, please. This is our Wi-Fi Ranger system here. It is a fancy way of saying this camper has a built-in router, effectively. It's a signal repeater and booster, local booster. So if you've got a somewhat weak park Wi-Fi signal coming into your site, you can hook up to that and it will rebroadcast that signal with greater strength and reliability around your site. You can also hook up like one of those, like say a Sprint LTE little USB stick extender thing and make that work off of a cellular signal as well. So it's very flexible in that regard. Remember, we could lift the bed up for storage inside, and this is the outside look at some of that stuff. Now, this is not a bathroom model, but it does standard include a handy little porta potty for maybe those little late night emergencies. It also does include the outside grill, which we just simply haven't set up quite yet. And we interrupt this regularly scheduled programming to bring you this special bonus feature. When I was all done, Mr. Norm, whose bay we're in currently, he's actually, you can see his shoes under the camper right now. He's quality checking something currently, which is what we're doing here. We always pre-screen everything before it goes out for general sale. He says, you didn't tell people enough about the grill. And I really wanted to make sure that we shared that little experience, because I thought it was really cool that other people here at Haylett RV, other than just myself, were very interested in making sure that our customers got the most information possible. So I said, you know what? Let's take some time. Let's really zero in on a couple extra little things that you could do here that maybe I didn't describe or show you previously. Like the fact that the table, I mentioned it's free floating, but there you go. You want to bring it outside for picnic time, you can, and that just leaves a nice open lounge inside, which frankly will help the camper look and feel bigger. Secondly, we got the grill set up here, and what we're doing right here, this blue device that you're looking at, this is a gas drop test. We are making sure that there are no propane leaks in this camper, because that's obviously the exact opposite of what you want. Now, one more thing here. It's easy to miss, and it's actually kind of cool once you learn about it. So you see this bracket that holds the grill on the camper right here? It slides through this little T-shaped holder, basically, to keep it attached to the camper. Well, something you can do, if you take the grill off here, You see these rubber foot pegs? You're looking at it, you're saying, well, yeah, those rubber foot pegs are obviously there so we don't scratch up the camper. But those can also be feet on the ground that'll make this post stick straight up. You can actually slot this grill on top of that and have a portable freestanding grill. So, if your campsite is set up in a way that doesn't allow you enough room to be able to grill and have a table here, or if you simply don't like grilling that close to your camper, you don't have to. And taking the time to show you those extra little things, maybe those little things are what's made us the largest volume pop-up dealer in the state of Michigan today. But you can see where it mounts next to that handy little side shelf serving table thing. And this is a formed resin, which is cool. You leave this thing outside in the rain, doesn't matter. It's plastic, guys. It's not going to swell like a particle board might. This is another nice little touch that they put on these, is the dual aluminum plank step as opposed to they've been dual steps on the high wall A-frames for a while, but the aluminum plank step I think is a little more rugged. It's a little bit easier to manipulate. The other thing is it's not slippery when wet. So if your shoes get wet, no big deal. And then just a little detail things like the fact that they actually do have a window in that entry door, so you're getting light and airflow instead of light or airflow. I think that in that regard, and is better than or. So thank you for tuning in. You're no doubt going to have a few questions on these. I can't take too much more time to slow down our guys here in this shop because we have lots of customers we need to take care of. So if you have additional questions, give us a call. 800-256-5196, Haylet RV of Coldwater, Michigan. We do hitching, pieces, parts, trades, finance, truck and trailer package deals, RV delivery, and everything in between. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.